Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of Rants. Well, I've already recorded this once, but turns out I was on mute, so that was me talking 15 minutes for literally nothing, but I guess I can replicate it. So, this week's episode is about science-based lifting. It's a pretty hot topic nowadays, and you have certain people that are really against it, and you have certain people that support it religiously, and I would like to give my own take on it. So, first of all, I've already had this conversation with a close friend yesterday, and we said that how can you hate on science-based lifting? In the sense that it is trying to give you the way of doing something in the most optimal way. And optimal is not just a word that is being used in fitness, it's quite literally used in every business area that humans are involved in. It's actually became a quite corporate world as well. And optimal just means the best. So when you want to receive optimal outcome, it means you want to receive the best outcome, best way of doing something, best way of doing something that generates a positive result. So you cannot be mad against the idea of trying to do something optimally, but I feel like the conversation here is much more than doing something optimally. And science as a whole is something that I completely respect and I strongly follow in everything that I'm doing because it requires constant research and adaptation and improvement. So it's trying to take us from where we are to somewhere better in the upcoming future. So you cannot be mad against it. And it's claimed and supported by data. When it comes to it, it's supported by evidence. And it's a really important matter. It's something that everyone should be following if they're doing something passionately or if they're doing something at all. And that's why I believe science-based lifting has really good intentions, but we're missing quite key points when it comes to the implementation. So, for every research that says that something is scientifically proven, significant or non-significantly proven that it works, there might be another research that says it doesn't. So let's give the example of anabolic window because it has been an important matter in nutrition, an important matter in fitness community. It claims that if you eat certain amount of calories or macros, the definition changes from study to study in a given time period after your workouts. You get better results when it comes to muscle hypertrophy and muscle recovery, strength, and everything. So some studies claim that for the target group that they worked with, it worked. Some studies claim it has no effect. And what I would suggest to everyone as my number one conclusion, trial and error is always great, and researching is a must. So, what science based lifters are doing, they're researching quite a lot. But at the same time, research should always be accompanied with actions as well. So just because you research something or you have seen your favorite YouTuber say it, doesn't mean that it is the universal truth or the most optimal way of doing something. Because these target groups don't go with the entire population, obviously. It goes with 10,000 people, 100 people, 500, depends on the study. And you, as a person, can always be the outlier. So that's why you have to do your research and you have to implement trial and error on it. If it works for you, great. See, you learned something else. If it doesn't work for you, well, say, okay, I'm not part of the target audience here, or I'm not part of the target group that this has been working for. And you can change and you can start trying new things. And the important matter for science-based lifters is that you shouldn't impose and say this is the best way of doing something because that's when you start getting people mad and you start being a meme on the internet because for example when you go all the way back to 1950s like or to old school generations you have people doing lat pull downs, you have people doing the same moves that we are still doing nowadays, and what changed is that they were doing it in a certain way and now we're doing it in another way with different handles, different angles, different styles, different reps and different sets, but at its essence, at its core, it's still a pull movement. Or the other way around, you do another movement and it's still a push movement. We're replicating the same movement. It's just we changed how we do it. We changed the equipment, we changed the angles, and the way, let's say, Arnold was doing lat pull downs for 90% of the population in the gym nowadays would be, well, that's wrong. You shouldn't do it like that. You should keep a straighter back, or you should hold your hands like this. You should use this handle. Well, it's still a pull movement. In my opinion, it is not that important. And when I say it is not that important, I don't mean that your form should hurt you or can lead to any physical injuries or mental, I don't know. As long as it is not hurtful for you, I feel like form, angle, equipment varies from person to person. So, for example, I'm taking myself, I'm looking at a movement and I'm seeing 90% of the population do it with a rope. I try the same with a rope and then I change. I change for myself. I'm not trying to be different than everyone else. That is not the plan. I just see what works better for me. Perhaps there is a chance that it works better with a straight bar for me. And then when I do it, well, I figure something else out. But if it doesn't, if rope works better, I can say to myself, well, there is a reason why everyone is doing with their rope then. But that's realizing that everyone's anatomy is different. It always was. No one person is the same. And you owe it to yourself, your improvement, to study for yourself again and trial and error different things to see what works for you or what doesn't. That's why I'm always saying that people have something to tell you in the gym, even if they're more experienced, less experienced, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are, but listen, maybe try, and when you try, maybe it works. If it doesn't, you say, well, I tried, it doesn't work. But if it does, you learn something. So you cannot be mad against it. And in my opinion, that's the best way of communicating with people and using science to your own advantage. Instead of hating it, or instead of being completely dogmatic and following what it says strictly, use your own judgment. Don't follow everyone else. Don't follow what people are saying, or don't completely hate stuff just to be different. Use your own judgment. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. You keep on doing what you're doing. Doing something is always better than not doing something. You're not going to you're not going to lose progress because you tried something new. It's always important to try new things. It's always important to keep an open mind no matter who you are or how improved you are. And that's the most important point when it comes to science-based lifting for me. It's not about using different angles or different handles, different styles, and calling it optimal. It's about trying different things and seeing if it gives any different, better results than the traditional way of doing it. And that's where the world science really shines, in my opinion, because it is constant research, constant striving for improvement, and you cannot argue with that. That's an amazing thing to do. I'm happy that we have people that are doing this research and coming out with new ways of doing things that might be beneficial for some of the population. I'm not going to be hating on science-based lifting because it is the cool thing to do nowadays. I have so many people that follow these routines, and I've learned so many things from these people that are much more beneficial than what I was doing. And also to think about, I was doing different type of deadlifts, like with different techniques, and I was always saying, okay, I found it. Now it's great. And just with a minor tweak that comes from someone, or I see somewhere, or I read somewhere, it's sometimes much more beneficial. And if it doesn't, I don't do it. So what do you have to lose? That's how I see science-based lifting. So my main conclusion would be do your own research, be skeptical when you see things, but don't be dogmatic as well. Don't take things too literally and be like, okay, this is the truth, but also don't hate on things without trying it. So be open to changes, do your own research, trial and error, and see what works, what doesn't. That's the way of constant improvement as a person and as a coach as well. I'm having clients where I'm saying, okay, then this is my coaching style. I say, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm doing it, this is what I'm eating, and this works for me. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work in the exact same effect for you, but try. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, and we do some changes. So when I give a client Palof press, the other client really likes it, says, wow, this is good. I feel that it's beneficial. And when I gave the same movement to my fiance, she said, that's bullshit. I don't like this. So we changed it. And that's completely okay because not everyone is the same. And I feel like this is the point that we should not be forgetting. And see that science is always a means of improvement of doing things for people. So it is our friend. How we use it is completely up to us, and we can use it for our benefit if we keep an open mind. And that will be the episode about science-based lifting. And as I said, don't forget, doing something is much more important than not doing something and not trying anything else. And when you reach that conclusion and leave things to your own judgment and do your own research, everything will be fine. And that was the fourth episode of Gym Rants. And I'll see you guys next week.